Hello everybody, welcome to Data Channel. Today I have with me Mr. Dinesh Priyankara, one of the greatest experts in this region and especially in Microsoft BA stack, and a 10 to 11 time MVP. I have lost track how many times he has become an MVP. And somebody whom I look up to, and I have been chasing him for this interview for almost a year. At last I managed to get hold of him at SQL Saturday Malaysia. So very happy to have him here. How are you doing, Dinesh?
Doing great. Shall I call as Venkat or
Anything. You can call me idiot, which is the truth. All right. So yes, as we know, today we will be talking about Azure Data Lake and Azure Data Lake Analytics.
Okay.
So just to get started, what is Azure Data Lake?
Okay, before we start that conversation,
Oh,
let
sure.
me thank you for inviting me and interviewing me for your channel. I'm really happy to have that type of conversation and let's talk about Azure Data Lake. Right?
Thanks a lot. It's my pleasure, Dinesh. It's my pleasure to talk to you always. Yeah.
Okay, so now if you think about the data lake, it's going to be we have to consider it as one of the services given by Microsoft in terms of cloud implementation or the cloud environment. And if you think about the data lake, it's all about a sort of environment where we can, in very simple term, without using very big words. In simple term, it is a sort of environment where I can have my all type of data
Okay.
and get them processed
Okay.
using some kind of familiar technology
Okay.
and make it ready for continuous reporting and analysis.
Okay.
There will be many different type of definition. If you Google it, if you Bing it,
Okay.
you can find the standard definition for it. But for me, it's all about a single container, and I
Okay.
can use that container for storing any type of data,
Okay.
and then I can get it processed using my favorite language,
Okay.
and then I can keep it this processed data as I want, or else I can just pass it to another container,
Okay.
which can be used for reporting and
Okay,
analysis. So,
interesting. And so, if we understand, it is a container where we can actually have any kind of data,
Exactly.
and you also get to use a language of your choice. So let's get a little bit more detail. How does it actually work? Let's say I have a massive amount of data on Azure Data Lake.
Okay.
So to process, how do I actually
Okay.
process?
So we'll talk about what sort of data we can store. But
Okay.
since you asked this question, let's say I need to get few things processed.
Okay.
Being a developer, or being a database developer,
Okay.
more precisely, I'm really familiar with SQL language.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if I think about some of the big data implementation I have done, there was certain situation where I was, experience difficulties.
Okay.
Sometimes, I couldn't continue with the things I have planned because there are certain things which are unknown to me.
Okay.
I'll give you an example.
Mm.
Let's say, we need to get some unstructured data process. Okay. Set of emails, set of images. I know that I cannot, process them using TSQL.
Okay.
So, and we know that when it comes to unstructured data, or we can call them as big data, if you really want to take that into this conversation, we know that we have to use an environment like Hadoop or
Yes.
Hadoop platform.
Mm.
I wasn't much comfortable with that, but
Okay.
unfortunately I had to learn
Okay.
and continue with whatever the implementation I had to do. But it was very difficult for me. But if I think about this Azure Data Lake concept, Microsoft has given me an opportunity to, have same set of functionalities related to big data processing, something like Hadoop and Hive. But it is not a language, or the language that have been given by Microsoft is not something unknown to me. It's a new language, but it is SQL for me.
Okay.
And not only that, I'm familiar with Visual Studio.
Okay.
I'm familiar with a couple of .NET languages because I was a developer 10 years back.
Okay.
I have used C#, so I still know how to code with C#. The good thing is this is TSQL and C#. So
Okay.
I'll be writing my favorite statement, just
Okay.
like select statement, just like insert statement, combining certain set of C# functions. So it is called as USQL.
Okay.
That's a language we have been given as a new language. It is not actually a new language. Microsoft has been used a language internally, which is called scope.
Oh,
So this is sort of this USQL has been inherited or derived from scope. That's how we have to consider. But the good thing is, I don't want to learn anything else. I can continue with my favorite language, and the best thing is I can use my favorite language for processing both structured and unstructured data.
Interesting, interesting. So as you said, USQL is a language which is pretty familiar, and the learning curve in using it is very low.
Yeah.
So interesting. One question I have is, where do we actually do the execution? Does it happen in Azure Data Lake itself, or you need another layer to run it?
Right. If you think about Azure Data Lake, there are two major layers.
Okay.
One is for analytics, one is for storage.
Okay.
So you can simply think as computer layer or compute layer and the storage layer. So storage is it will use a certain set of storage resources for storing all my type of data. So it uses if you're familiar with HDFS, which is the layer or which is the file system used with Hadoop. Microsoft has used the same, but it is not exactly HDFS. It is web implementation or the web HDFS. Okay. And Azure Data Lake is also based on Yarn. So the storage element is based on HDFS. So it basically stores data based on the same concept. Like whenever we pass a data set to Azure Data Lake, it goes to Azure Data Lake store. But before that, it checks and see whether, I think now the threshold is 2 GB. If the file is greater than 2 GB, and if it can be split, then the file will be broken into multiple chunks and then distributed in multiple storage devices.
So the distributed processing concept, which is
it comes with that. Yeah.
It comes.
But this is storage. So my data is going to be stored in a distributed manner. Now, when the other layer, which is analytical layer, there are two parts. One is HD Insight. You can use HD Insight for processing data, which has been stored with Azure Data Lake Store, or you can use Azure Data Lake Analytics for processing data. Now, we can simply go ahead with Azure Data Lake Analytics because that is where we use USQL. Okay. So we will be writing codes with Azure Data Lake Analytics against the data stored in Azure Data Lake Store. So where this is going to be executed or processed in Azure environment.
Nice.
So we have to make sure whatever the data we have is pushed to our Azure Data Lake Store, and then we can pass instruction to Azure Data Lake Analytics saying, I want to get my data set processed in this manner with the instruction set, and then as Azure Data Lake Analytics will do the needful, I can simply say at the end of this process, form another structure, place it in this folder. Again, the result set will be placed in the Azure Data Lake Store.
Excellent. It gives very good clarity on how the analytics and the storage part are differentiated. I have one question. So when you say this, I want to know if when would somebody choose HD Insight, or when would somebody choose USQL? How do you decide which one to go?
Now, before we come to HD Insight, let's start from the beginning. Before HD Insight, we had to use Hadoop. Okay. So we have Hadoop. If you want, you can use all open source component. You can implement Hadoop as on-prem implementation. And I can pass my dataset to Hadoop environment, get it processed, I can take it back, and then if I want, I can continue with SQL data warehouse or SQL database. Okay, right. So we have on-prem Hadoop. Then Microsoft gave us a facility to create all Hadoop clusters in Azure, which is called as HD Insight. Okay, so we can use HD Insight for creating Hadoop cluster or Storm cluster, Spark cluster, and even it has now Kafka, Interactive Hive, and things like that. Okay, so we have that tool. In addition to all of these things, Microsoft has given another tool or another environment called Azure Data Lake. Now, what should I use? Right. Okay. Now, no one should think as this, like, Azure Data Lake or Azure Data Lake Analytics is going to replace HD Insight. Or Azure Data Lake is going to replace Hadoop. No, it is not going to happen. Same concept. Yes, you'll be using all these three environments for processing data or processing big data. But for example, now let's say I want to get things captured, sort of streams or the events, right? I want to get that set of streams captured, and process them using a different language like Spark or Stone.
Okay.
Okay, and then final result can be taken into another container. In that case, I have to use either HD Insight
Okay.
or Hadoop.
Okay.
Right? And if I want to implement everything in Azure, then my the option is, or the selection should be HD Insight, not Hadoop. I cannot use Azure Data Lake Analytics for that.
Okay.
Right? So it is like, if you think about HD Insight and Azure Data Lake Analytics, both are very complementary services. You cannot replace from this or to replace this. It is not possible.
So common convention probably idea can be like, if I have to use something like a Spark or then preferably go.
If you want to use Hadoop sub-projects or different type of clusters, you have to go for HD Insight. But if you think that everything can be managed with Azure Data Lake Analytics
or
USQL,
USQL
exactly,
to be precise,
then you will be going with that.
Okay, interesting. And when we talk of big data all the time, one of the key things that comes up is how fast can it be? We are looking at terabytes of data, petabytes of data,
right,
sometimes. So how fast are we talking about? So how does is Azure Data Lake fast? If yes, how does it manage to give good performance?
Okay, so you can get things speeded up,
okay,
but of course you have to pay. Right? Okay, that's how it goes. Now there is a measurement, or like this is how it has to be done. There's a unit called AUs. Okay. Sometimes we call it as ADLU, or you can simply call it as AU. So you will be purchasing AUs. Think like this. If you want to get a dataset process, you're just trying to get one machine to get it processed. If you feel like this machine is not enough, you'll be getting two machines, and then distribute the processing part, get it processed, and then combine. If you feel like two machines are not enough, you can get 10 machines. So the same concept. Now if you go for HD Insight, you have to decide that part first. How many machines you want? We don't call this as machine, we can call it nodes. But if you think about it in very simple manner, when it comes to HD Insight, we need to decide how many machines, how many nodes I want to have it in my HD Insight environment. But with Azure Data Lake Analytics, it is not something like that. I don't want to think about it. I'll be just dumping data, right? Without changing anything. I'll be getting images, I'll be getting documents, I'll be getting CSV files. Everything is in now Azure Data Lake store. Now I want to do some transformation because somebody else is waiting for a structured data set. Power BI guy or data warehouse guy, they're waiting. I want to get get a certain data set processed. Now when I want to get my data set processed, at that time I can decide how many machines I want. Okay. I can initially try with one machine. Right? Which means I'll be purchasing one AU for my query. Right? It is not for my Azure Data Lake Analytics environment. It is not for my Azure Data Lake store. It is not for the whole thing. This is only for my query. So I can get it processed and see. Once it is processed, for example, if I use Visual Studio for processing it, after the process is done, I can go ahead and see whether it has used. Since this is based on one AU, I can check and see whether one AU is enough. Right? If it is continuously using, without taking one AU, let's say two AUs. So if it is continuously using two AUs, I know that two AU is not enough. Okay. So second time, I can test it with 10 AUs. Same, this is how we decide how many AUs we want for getting this dataset processed. So when I try with 10 AUs, I might see that most of the time it uses 5 to 6 AUs, and sometimes it uses 2 to 3 AUs, but most of the time 5 to 6 AUs. So in that case, I know that for this query, I have allocated extra AUs. So then I can decide this type of processing need only 6 AUs. So this is how I decide how much I'm going to pay for Microsoft in order to get my dataset processed. Because if you think about HD Insight, as soon as you create it, you'll be billed. Whether you use it or not, Microsoft is continuously charging you. But in this case, we have the dataset and we are getting it processed, and we'll be charged only for that duration based on the AUs we have used.
That's very interesting.
Exactly, yes.
Because you're paying just per job instead of unlike HT Insight where you actually.
Exactly. Yes.
That's nice. Interesting. You have spoken about AUs, provisioning AUs while the job is actually submitted or the query is actually submitted. One question I have is while it's good for in terms of cost because you are provisioning the AUs when you are submitting the request, but does it make it slower? Meaning it has to actually do the adjustments in runtime.
Not exactly. Now, it doesn't mean like somebody is like bringing those machines and then fixing it for us. All these machines are up and running in a sort of pool, and whenever we make a request, what happens is based on our request, it picks certain set of machines from the pool, and then it continues with the execution. It is very similar to the Hadoop, or it is very similar to the MPP architecture, right? You have somebody on top, like control node. So the request is accepted by the control node, and it decides, in this case, somebody has passed the number of AUs need. So the control node says, this person needs 5 AUs for getting this process. It will immediately take 5 machines. Again, these are not exactly physical machines, but think like machines. So it will get 5 machines from the pool and assign for execution. That's all. So I don't think there is a delay in terms of a considerable amount. Not at all.
Interesting. So how does the costing actually work in Azure Data Lake Analytics?
Now when it's come to AUs, if I'm not mistaken, it is somewhere close to $2 per hour for one AU. So if let's say I have a job that takes about 3 hours to completely process. I can just use two AUs, so which means $2 into 3. Like if it takes 3 hours, $2 into 3. That's how it has to be calculated. But recently I did a calculation for one of the big data projects. There are certain other things you need to consider. Now, we can use Visual Studio for getting it processed. But when it's come to production environment, it is not the tool we have to use, right? We need to make sure we create a job and schedule it.
Yes.
So when it's come to standard data warehouse implementation, we use SQL agent for doing this. But this is all about Azure. We know that we don't have SQL agent in Azure, right? So in that case, we have to use Azure Data Factory. So which means additional cost comes into this, right? So you need to calculate for Data Factory pipelines, data movements, in addition to AUs.
Also the storage also counts.
But when it comes to storage, that's really low. Like I cannot remember. It's in cents, right? Per GB. For first 1 TB, it's very small amount. I can't remember the number, but you don't need to worry about storage. But what you have to worry on, like there are certain set of things you need to worry. One is AUs, right? If you think that you need 20 AUs, and if the job takes 5-6 hours, and if you're going to get that job executed every day, so which means you need to calculate for 30 days. That's how you calculate the monthly cost. So you might be ending up with $5,000, $6,000. Because I have seen that that type of numbers, right? So in addition to that, you'll be paying for Data Factory usage. And the movements, data movements, things like that are there.
Fine. Interesting. And when you spoke of job, immediately another question pops up to me is, so is it capable of doing real-time processing as well, or real-time analytics as they call it?
Now if you even think about HT Insight or Hadoop, there are certain set of components that can be used for real time, but it's mainly for batch process. Right? Even USQL, it is for batch process, but it doesn't mean that you cannot use this environment for a real time one. This is what I have done. We can simply use Hadoop or HT Insight for handling real time data process. Or else I can simply use Stream Analytics, either using Event Hub, or if it is coming from IoT device, I can use IoT Hub. And then get the data process. Again, Stream Analytics has a I don't know what the name for that language, but it is sort of select statement again. So I can use SQL-like language for getting captured event process,
Okay.
real time.
Okay.
Okay. And if I want to continuously pass that process data to another container, for example, Power BI,
Okay.
I can straight away create
it
a
on.
channel, output
So-
channel through Stream Analytics and send it. Or else I can create another channel for Data Lake.
Okay. Okay.
So I can get it captured, process, and pass it to Data Lake. And
Okay.
if I want to do further processing, I can use USQL for
Okay.
processing that.
Interesting. So, does this mean Stream Analytics can be used to extract the data from a data lake store, or
No, all these services are complementary. Like you have to combine all these services in order to get things processed.
Okay.
Now, let me take an example. Let's say we have an IoT device
Okay.
and that continuously generates data. So we want to make sure we capture this information, and we want to make sure it is getting processed in real time manner. And if somebody has to be alerted, yes, it sends a notification. Or if you want to show this information in Power BI, you should be able to show it as a real time dashboard or real time widget. Okay, so in that case, what we have to do is, we should not use Azure Data Lake. For that, we should use Stream Analytics.
Okay.
We can have IoT hub inside
Okay.
Stream Analytics, connect with the device, get the things captured, and process it, and create an output channel for Power BI.
Okay.
But in addition to that, we can create another output channel for Data Lake Store.
Sure.
So
Okay.
the processed data can be passed to Data Lake Store, and that processed data set can be used for further analysis.
Right. Okay.
So that is how it has to be
Okay.
set up.
Okay, interesting. Quite a few things to learn. And so, what are the typical use cases, or what are the typical applications?
Based on things I have done, the good thing with when it's come to Azure Data Lake Analytics, since we can use many other components. For example, if I want to get some image processors, I can get some help from Azure Machine Learning,
Okay.
and I can get things executed related to Azure Machine Learning. Those things can be I can get those things executed through USQL.
Okay.
And output can be again stored in the data lake store.
Okay.
Right. So likewise, this has many features and functionalities. Considering all of these things and considering the things I have done, I can simply use this as a container for everything.
Okay.
Right. Now, when it's come to data warehouse implementation or BI implementation, we were used to connect with a data set which are comfortable for us.
Okay.
And all other things are ignored. That is how we have been implementing data warehouse solution. But nowadays, I don't want to worry. If somebody says we want to analyze emails, okay, I can get those things saved, pass it to the data lake store. Okay, and we can use one of our applications to pass this information to data lake store. We can use something like Data Factory, but the main thing is I have everything in a single container. Okay, so if I want to have, let's say somebody wants to analyze these the contents, email contents through the dashboards, and the dashboards, let's say dashboards are being designed using Power BI, and the main source for Power BI is Azure SQL Data Warehouse. Okay. So we want to make sure that this email content is available in the Azure Data Warehouse. So how we are going to combine all of these things? Now we have everything in the Azure Data Lake Store.
Okay.
I can get this data set processed using USQL.
Okay.
And bring it to a readable format.
Okay.
Save it in Azure Data Lake Store. Okay. Now if somebody wants to access this data set, processed data set, which can be read directly from Azure Data Lake Store, they can connect it and get the data.
Okay.
Or else I can get this read data set, pass it to the data warehouse, and keep it as a standard structure.
Okay.
So this is how we use Azure Data Lake and Data Lake Analytics with our database or data related projects.
So it is a one single container for holding my unprocessed and then later post-processed data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll add one more point because when I was doing the session, this question was raised. We have been using SSIS for processing, right? Processing all type of data. Now, in this case, the question was this: can I just dump everything we have, including relational data? Of course, you cannot have relational structure. You'll be, having data as like a CSV or TSC. But let's say we have put everything there and we get things processed using USQL and make these data sets ready for reporting and analysis. So in that case, do we really need SSIS? We cannot straight away say that the whole thing is going to replace tools like SSIS. And we are not talking about complete Azure implementation or cloud implementation. Still, we see hybrid implementation. So this doesn't mean that it is going to replace certain components we have been using for data warehousing. But in the next 5 years, 10 years, who knows what happen? Like we'll be completely using completely different type of tool sets. But this is how a modern data warehouse is being done now. Okay, we'll be using traditional part and we'll be using modern techniques too.
Interesting. Lots of new things to learn, Dinesh. Thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for joining us in Data Channel. It's a pleasure having you here. Thanks a lot again.
Thank you very much again inviting me and have me in your channel.
Thanks a lot.
All the best.
Thank you.